Hi, this is Pat Bolger and Bonnie Blackburn Hinkie III with the Pat Bolger Realty Group. Today I'm going to talk about let's call it the truth about real estate teams. All right. Nowadays there's a thing out there called the real estate teams, and some of them are putting up significant numbers of production, and I just want to discuss that a little bit because I'm not actually sure that that's very honest or
forthright.
Anyway, forthright, yes. So, but anyway, first off, let's talk about how realtors are compensated. As you know, it's a 100% commission job, and so in a traditional commission split is 50%. Commission would come in either buying or listing or selling, and the agent would get 50% of the commission, and the house or the office or the brokerage would get the other 50%. Mm-hmm. So 50-50 split. And that's the traditional model. Now there's some variations on that. Some of the people have incentives on it, or bonus programs, is that after you sell, say, $5 million, that commission split would change to 60-40. 60% would go to the agent and 40% would go to the house or to the brokerage. Or you'd go, and then you got to 10 million and maybe it'd go 70-30, mm-hmm. or so on, so on and so forth, right? So that's the traditional model. Then there's the 100% model, and that's the ones like the more traditional brokerages are, the First Weber, Shore West, some of the big houses are, as we call them, by brokerages. And then there is the 100% model, and that's like the RE/MAX. Realty Executives, that type of, and they do what's called a 100% pay plan. And where there you're going in and you're actually paying them to be there. So there's no commission split, but you pay them a certain dollar amount, usually like $1,000 or $2,000 a month, and then you pay all your own expenses, and then you're using their name pretty much.
And branding.
Okay. Yes, and branding and stuff. And so that's the 100% plan. And those are kind of the two ways that realtors are compensated. All right. So, now I talked often about this business being a 90-10 business, where 10% of agents do 90% of business. And we have a production that comes out, and I don't have it handy here, but I have it always behind my desk, and it shows the top 50 or top 500 agents production in MLS for Southeastern Wisconsin. And so all agents come in and they all tell you how wonderful they are, and they all make it sound like they're the biggest and the best and the brightest. And again, the average agent, I think, sells like 3 or 4 houses a year, all right, and probably makes less than $30,000 a year, maybe probably less than 20. I don't have the exact numbers, but they're not that good, So I often say,
or active. True.
Right, most is 90-10, 10% are doing a great deal, and they're very successful, they're very accomplished, and they're really good. And by the way, I'm one of those 10%. In fact, I'm the top 1% in the whole nation, so, but anyway, the average agent is, despite what they're telling you, you come in and you work you get a job, and they tell you, fake it till you make it, and they start to really, I think, buy into that, and so I often say is the average agent out in Lake Country is probably a woman driving a $60,000 car, living in a $600,000 house with a $2,000 purse and $2,000 shoes, and she makes $17,000 a year, but her husband does really well. And then, of course, there's now the house husband that's doing the same thing. So he's living the same thing. But I'm often surprised because, I might end up being in competition with somebody, and the other person will tell me how successful this other agent is, and I will look up their production, and I will often be very surprised at how little that production is and stuff. And yet, you would believe by listening to them that it was, next Barbara Corcoran or Donald Trump. So these real estate teams, now I guess I wouldn't, if they were all, like they're trying to tell you, they're all one thing pulling together, they're not. They're all going and they're just trying to grab production, and the only benefit is that they're all going to put it under somebody's name. They're not a team pulling together. They're all going in separate directions, doing separate things. They're not pulling together in the same direction. So there's no real benefit to the buyer to the client to sign up with them to work with them to list their home or to help find them a home, except that they're one agent. So when they come in and they show you, look at me, look at all that is basically boasting and bragging.
Misconception.
And it's not even true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like they're really earned it. They're not. They haven't. They've taken a shortcut to success, I guess, and now they're just kind of pretending. So, what does all this mean? Well, here's, I guess, what I'm hoping the takeaway would be, is that I have a firm here called the Pat Bolger Realty Group, and that was a couple of different things. We were trying to bring the best people together. It started off being me as the best realtor, as Sarah Dorn as the best loan officer, the attorneys title group as the best title group, and, so on and so forth. So best individuals together to provide a really good, positive real estate service. Then we've added agents. We have Bonnie and June, and we have Brett, all these different people. They're part of the Pat Bolger Realty Group, and they help support me, Pat Bolger. But my production numbers are strictly Pat Bolger production numbers. The Pat Bolger Realty Group is not all of us combined. When you see Pat Bolger's numbers, they're Pat Bolger's. They're legitimate numbers of production. Okay, and June's got hers, and Bonnie has hers, and everybody else, right? And unless you're doing 20 million or something like that, it doesn't really matter that much, which is why the groups or the teams are working. If you're doing $5 million worth of production, you're right there in the pack, along with hundreds of other people. And if somebody's willing to pay your expenses, monthly expenses, and lower your overhead, you're happy to pass your production on. So anyway, my takeaway is that you're going to go and list your house or work with a realtor, and they're, say for instance, the Jane Doe Realty Group, right? I'd think twice about that, because Jane Doe Realty Group's telling you right off the bat is that what she's doing is not illegal, but it's right on the edge. It's definitely in that gray area, and they're skirting the edge. They're walking on the cliff, I guess, right, or the cliff of what's right and what's wrong, ethically with the Realty Board. Their numbers aren't legitimate numbers. They're not really a team. They're not all working together. So they're telling you right off the bat that they're willing to walk the line, bend the rules, stuff like that. I mean, is that a good way to start? I don't think so. Whereas you come with me or somebody like me that's legitimate, and you get the real thing. I think it's important to talk the talk and to walk the walk. So this is Pat and Bonnie with the Pat Bolger Realty Group. Thanks for watching.